We're now going to convert from the interval notation that our calculator gives us to the plus minus notation. When we get our output from our calculator, the interval notation here has a first number and a second number. The first number is where our interval starts, second number is where our interval ends. So we would interpret this as 42.9% to 51.7%. Now, sometimes there's other ways to report that, such as using the center estimate and then working outwards as to how much error there is. That's what plus and minus notation does. It starts with the middle and says how much it varies in each direction. Now, to actually figure that out, the way that I'm going to recommend doing it is grabbing your calculator, and you're going to have your data most likely show up on screen, and you can start typing right from there. And you're going to take your highest number here, this front number, and you're going to subtract this lower number right here. Now remember, this number is called p-hat. It's the best single estimate of the data that you have. It's the middle of your data. So 0.51673 here. You could maybe round that off one more decimal, but you can take the full thing if you choose. And then 0.4728, and I would round that off for sure. I won't take that whole number. And you get this new number. You get 0.04389. And what that number is it tells you that that's how much variation there is from the middle to one end. Now, you don't have to do this, but if you want to verify that it's the same distance to the other end, you could do that. You could take the left end that I have highlighted in green and subtract out the middle. And if we do that, as long as you account for a little bit of rounding error that could come up, you're going to get basically the same thing. Now, since I took the smaller one minus the bigger one, I got a negative version of that number. But, like I said, with very small rounding error of 0.0001, they are the exact same. And so the way that you would write this now is you take your center here that I've highlighted in yellow and you convert that to a percent, so 47.3%, plus or minus the amount of error here that you calculated on either end, whatever one you choose to calculate it from. So you move the decimal over 2 and you have 4.389 or 4.39%. Rounded off to one decimal place would be just 4.4%. So that's how you take this mess here and write it as something that you would typically see reported in, say, a magazine or a newspaper, and to this plus-minus form. Let's do one more example just to make sure that we can do it. We have another interval here. I want to take my 0.65548, my upper end, and I want to subtract out my middle here, my p-hat, my estimate, and I'm going to round that off for 5 digits, and I get that number, so I'll throw that on screen here. And so the way that I would then write my confidence interval would be to say 59.2%, that's my p-hat just rewritten, and it's going to be plus or minus the amount of error I got over here. So the 0.06, that'd be 6%, to one decimal, 6.4%. So all you do is you do one subtraction operation to get the error right here, and then you convert that to a percent. Your calculator will give you p-hat, your estimate of the center, and you just convert that to a percent. You write it and you're done.